Hello and welcome back to the AfterBurners podcast. If you haven't watched part one, you go and watch it right now. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor. So let's jump right into it, where we left off, and Belgium Grand Prix. Um, it was a rainy day in the land of Belgium.
Just a bit rainy.
It,
More
yeah,
more rain than we usually get over here in the UK.
yeah.
Blimey.
A rainy day. I say that because well, FIA, right. One thing about FIA is that they can't really get their decisions right, shall we say?
I think
So
this year overall has been not the best, to put it kindly, in terms of the race control, race director, FIA, how rules were applied, etc. I think over the course of the year, they got a few decisions wrong. And yeah, as we said in part one, I think that started off with Hamilton allowed to exceed track limits 29 times at turn 4 in Bahrain. So again, Belgium pretty much 2 laps behind the safety car. How is that a race
rain,
in any
rain,
sense of the
go
word?
away.
We were just hanging on. I was on the train coming back from my girlfriend's in Warsaw, I think, near Birmingham, and I just had it on the radio, BBC Radio 5 Live, and I was just hoping for. I was just Jack Nicholson, Jodie Palmer, Jenny Gow, keeping us updated with what was going on, and
Yeah,
just like, are we going to have? I got home about an hour and a half to 2 hour journey home, and they still hadn't gone racing by the time I got home in the afternoon, and it was just mad.
it was.
Really,
So the race, well, the I don't know if you call it a race, to be honest. The
you
event.
can't call it. How can you call a 2 lap procession behind a safety car a race? It was just not. Surely a race has to have overtaking, or they have to be allowed to overtake, and Spa
So
was just not that.
so Belgium was hit with rain, a lot of rain, heavy rain, and you know, we we just Formula One, we just wouldn't know whether we get racing again. Um, qualifying, qualifying. The only big, the only big standout was George Russell in the Williams. George Russell um qualified P2 in a Williams car,
Exceptional. I mean,
which is
I
absolutely
think
brilliant.
it was superb strategy. I think from Williams, because I think they just about had enough time to get Russell out on dry tires. I think it was drying off towards the end of qualifying Q3. In fair play for Russell for getting the Williams into Q3 in the first place. Let's not forget that. For him to start P2, he has to get it into Q3. He has to be in the top 10. And yeah, just exceptional driving from Russell. And I am glad that he did get P2 in the end in terms of points, but I'd have liked him to get P2 like on the track, not
Yeah.
in qualifying and just led behind the safety car sort of thing. But he deserved those points. He deserved points, Russell, I think, more than the 4 points he got in Hungary. And yeah, P2, it's fairly safe to say if it was a dry race, if it was a dry weekend, he wouldn't have got anywhere near P2, and he wouldn't have got anywhere near P2 in the race either. So fair play for Russell and to Williams for sneaking in a lap or two of dry tyres before qualifying ended and getting that P2. And I'd say in a way they deserve the points, but in my view, Spa should have been just crossed off, forget about it. It shouldn't have been allowed to stand as a classified race, if you like. But I suppose luckily from that point of view that Spa didn't really have an effect on the championship. If Spa didn't happen, if no points were awarded for it, basically then the outcome of the championship would have still been the same, if you like. It's not
Yeah.
like Verstappen would have lost more points than Hamilton, but obviously given what we know now, that the championship, it wouldn't have made any difference on the championship. Hamilton, I think, would have been ahead in going into Abu Dhabi, but obviously but not by 25 points, if you like, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. I do. And yeah, just going back to the whole event, really. it wasn't a race. A lot
Mm.
of rain and heavy rain, and you know, it just made race control and the FIA almost look bad because they couldn't get their decisions right. And it's
I think the FIA felt like they had to do something before it got dark, essentially, before it got too dangerous to drive in. And throughout the whole of the event, as you say, let's call it, because it wasn't a race really,
no,
the conditions weren't good enough to go full rate, even on full wets, which can disperse what 20,000 liters of water, which is or something like that. It's a huge amount of water anyway. But drivers behind will just have no chance of seeing anything because of the spray. And
yeah,
Verstappen, yeah, he'll be all right because he's at the front. But if you're sitting like fourth or fifth or something in sixth place, then you've just got no hope of seeing anything in front of you. And Eau Rouge Radion is one of the fastest corner complexes in the whole of Formula One. And going up there at not obviously not full pace because it's so wet, but it would have been dangerous. And oh yeah, the FIA should have just stopped the event. It shouldn't have been classified. And yeah, I feel for the fans as well because
yeah,
they paid however many hundreds of euros to go to the Grand Prix, one of the sort of crown jewels in the F1 calendar, one of the oldest Grand Prix around, and they didn't get to see anything. They just got to see cars slowly going around behind the safety car
in
and
the
not get
rain.
refunded for it as well.
Oh,
It was announced recently they didn't get a refund. They were into like a lottery or a raffle for F1 TV passes or something, of which if you're in the UK you can't use anyway because of Sky's broadcasting rights.
wait, you can't?
So no, it's just ridiculous, and they deserve full refunds. And Formula
I
One
thought that
haven't
was
given them
very
that, which is
insulting
completely wrong.
when I heard that
It's
on
massively
Twitter.
insulting. When
Yeah,
you spent 400, 500, I mean, Henry Buxton was supposed to go to Spa. Obviously, didn't for COVID reasons, but if he did go, if he did go, he would feel robbed right now, and rightly so. And I'm sure every fan who went to the Belgian Grand Prix is right to feel robbed and is right to get all up in arms about it because they deserve a full refund, not be, oh, here you go, you can watch it on TV for next year, or you can be put in for a lottery to win tickets for next year's race, or they get to attend a special event on Thursday, on a special Thursday event, whatever that is. I don't know, but if I was a fan at Spa, I'd want my few €100 back. Thank you very much,
yeah,
Formula One.
indeed. Do you still want to carry on with these race ratings then?
Yeah, we can
Because
still carry them on. I mean,
Belgium,
Belgium, if I could give a zero, it would be a zero. Let's
yeah,
be honest.
yeah,
Zero out
agreed.
of, let's do it. 0 out of 10.
Right,
It's just not a race.
the Netherlands then, Zandvoort. It was it was actually supposed to be on the calendar in the 2020 season, but it was
Mm.
called off due to COVID. But it was but now on the 2021 calendar, Max Verstappen, home Grand Prix, a sea of orange, and well, the race. He came into the race, won the race. Max Verstappen, well, brilliant from him.
Another dominant display from Verstappen, and it would have been the one race on the calendar he would have desperately wanted to win. Forget about Monaco, forget about Silverstone, Spa, Monza, whatever, any of the other sort of marquee event races in Formula One. Zandvoort would be the one that he would want to win most, and he did that. We saw he came across the line. They had the fireworks going off as he was driving down. The stands were just filled with orange smoke from the flares from the fans. Um, it was a brilliant, brilliant spectacle. And I kind of like Zandvoort as a track. It is slightly different. It's got those banked corners, which we haven't seen in F1 for quite a while. But having said that, it didn't provide a great race. I don't really remember much from it. And
No.
as I said before in part one, if you can't remember much from it, then was it that great a race?
Um, sorry. Your race racing then for Zandvoort then,
I've
out of
given it a
10,
3 out of 10.
3 out of
I've given
10.
it a 3 out of 10. because
Yeah,
as we said, I can't really remember any
remember.
drama. I can't remember much excitement about it other than the fact that it was the first time it was on the calendar for what, 35, 36 years, something like that, since the 80s. Um, I can't remember much about the race other than Verstappen completely dominating.
Yeah, 3 out of 10 for the Netherlands Grand Prix, Dutch Grand Prix, I should say. Now, on to the second Italian Grand Prix of the season, but in Monza, the Tempo of Speed, as it's normally called. Now, this was significant because after 12 races, McLaren were the first constructors team to finish on a podium with a 1-2 with Daniel
I mean, not
Ricciardo.
many people, no one would have predicted that at the start of the season that McLaren would be the only team to get a first and second. It's it's incredible. I mean, obviously, Verstappen and Hamilton were taken out. I mean, people will debate on whose fault that was, but
Oh,
I mean, I suppose that, again, that incident had no effect on the championship because neither driver scored points,
yeah.
so it didn't really have much influence on the championship. But Daniel Ricciardo winning the race after a struggle, he struggled in the first half of the season with McLaren. Didn't
Yeah.
get many points. Wasn't really consistent. And then out of nowhere comes Monza, and he wins the race. Lando Norris P2 as well. I think did Ricciardo get pole for Monza? I can't remember now. Yeah, to see them up there with Zach Brown, I'll just move out of the way so YouTube viewers can see. Shoeies galore, Bottas just the lone soldier of not from McLaren on the podium. It's just remarkable scenes, and for me, one of the best races of the year, along with Hungary.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was great. Um, and Zach Brown, McLaren boss, he got a tattoo on his arm, so
Oh yeah, he did.
he will always remember Monza race win. So that's a good to have. Now, other than the McLaren 1-2, the big talking point in Monza was the crash between Hamilton and Verstappen.
Mm.
Hamilton comes out of the pit lane. Uh, I think he
Verstappen out of the pit lane, I think.
Verstappen.
Was it? Was it? I can't remember.
I thought it was Hamilton.
No, yeah, you're right. It was Hamilton. Yeah,
Yeah,
Verstappen had a poor pit stop. He had a slow pit stop,
yeah,
and then so he tried to sort of dive bomb Hamilton a bit after he came out of the pit. So yeah, well, I got it. Yeah, I got it the wrong way around.
yeah. So Hamilton comes out of the pit lane. Uh, I think I think he will be on the outside. I think so, closest to the apex, I believe. If I'm not wrong.
Hamilton would have been on the inside for the first corner, the right hander, then the outside for the second corner, the left hander.
Okay. So I think it was at the left-hander that the collision happened.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what I mean Verstappen, how his car, I don't even know how to even go on about it because how his car lifts over the top of Hamilton's head is quite a scary moment. I mean, I
Yeah,
didn't
just
see it because I was listening to it on the radio, but from what I could hear from Jack Nichols and the commentary team, it sounded very scary.
yeah. Most. I mean, you've got a tire still spinning just an inch above your head. Yeah, you got a helmet. Yeah, you got. I mean, thank goodness for the halo. Again, we go back a few years, all the controversy surrounding it. Oh, should it come in? Oh, it looks ugly. But it saved lives, and that's exactly what it was brought in to do. It saved the life of Romain Grosjean. It arguably saved the life of Charles Leclerc when he was in his first season at Spa a few years ago.
Mm,
Arguably saved the life of Lewis Hamilton at Monza as well. So yeah, that would have been a scary, scary moment for Hamilton. But fair play to him for trying to reverse out of that as well. And you got an F1 car on top of you, weighing what half a ton to a ton, or around about what 800 kilos, whatever. To try and reverse out of that why you got Verstappen just walking past you, not giving two hoots, which is a bit unsporting from Verstappen, I think, not to check on
Yeah,
Hamilton to make sure he's okay. But for Hamilton to try and reverse out, to try and keep going, whether he scored a point or two, would have given him some sort of advantage over Verstappen for that race. And again, just shows how determined he was to win the championship, how determined a racer he is, that even though he's seemingly out of the race, he still wants to try and get him back. We saw it in Imola as well, where he almost went into the wall, span off at, I can't remember what corner now, but made sure not to light up the rear tyres in the gravel, made sure that he didn't dig into the gravel to get stuck, and made his way back out onto the track and eventually finished P2. So, I mean, people will debate about whose fault it was, the crash. I mean, Verstappen did go in quite deep because he was probably a bit frustrated with the slow pit stop that Red Bull had and
yeah,
just wanted to come out ahead of Hamilton at that point. But the first chicane at Monza isn't the only overtaking point. You've got another chicane after that, and then you've got the Lesmos, I think they're called, the two right-handers. You've got Ascari. I think Parabolica is probably the only corner that you can't overtake on Monza just because it's too quick a corner. It was perhaps a silly move from Verstappen, but you could argue that Hamilton didn't give Verstappen enough space. You could argue that Verstappen's move was too difficult and dangerous, and people people will argue for whichever driver they support. But at the end of the day, did it really matter? Because both drivers got 0 points.
yeah. So it was a good weekend for McLaren. 1-2, and round 15 takes us to Russia.
Do you want to rate the Monza race out of 10
Sorry.
first, just before we get to Russia? Sorry.
7. No, actually, because McLaren had their 1-2, only because of that, I'm going to give it a 7.2 out of 10.
7.2.
Yeah.
I'm giving it a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10? Okay.
Yeah, mainly for the McLaren 1-2.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. And like you said, no one would have predicted it. McLaren getting a 1-2. Zach Brown got a tattoo, so he'll always remember Monza, winning in Monza. So yeah, it was great. Really good. So round 15 takes us to Russia for the Russian Grand Prix. The race, or should I say, well, actually, yeah, the race. Lando Norris.
Yeah, I mean, just Lando Norris.
Lando
Maiden
Norris.
pole in Formula One in qualifying, and was on track for his first win in Formula One as well. And then 6-7 laps to go. I mean, up until that point, it was all typical Russia, really. There wasn't much action at all from what I remember, or from what I don't remember, rather. And yeah, it was 7 laps to go. Rain started falling in one part of the
You should have
track.
changed your tires.
Well, in hindsight, definitely Norris should have came in and pitted.
Looking at it now, yeah.
Yeah, with a few laps of it was just literally like a corner or two for the first sort of few laps since the rain came. So around about 4 laps to go, it was only around a corner or two. So they thought, let's keep going, and then literally with 2 laps to go, it just started chucking it down, and Hamilton pitted. Norris's engineers were everyone there. Oh, what do you think about the Inters? And Norris just went no. He also said shut up to them at one point, which I think Norris's immaturity and his lesser experience compared to Hamilton sort of cost him that first win. And I feel sorry for him, but at the end of the day, I suppose you could say that it was Norris's decision making that cost him that win.
Yeah, agreed.
If he said, let's play it a little bit safe, P2 is still an amazing result, even if we lose it to Hamilton. Then he just wanted that win so much that he didn't think about strategy. He didn't think about how the weather could pan out for, and it all happened so quickly, literally like 10 minutes or so until the end of the race did the rain start to fall. So he was in a difficult position, but I think the experience of Hamilton, as I've said, paid off there, and the lack, or not necessarily lack of experience, but less experience of Norris to be in situations like that hindered him most definitely, and cost him the race win.
Yeah, yeah. And with that win in Russia, Hamilton 100 race wins.
Yeah, there was this great piece of commentary from David Cross, something like he entered the weekend a gladiator, but ends it a centurion. Brilliant
Oh
piece of, I
yeah,
think I really like
that's
that.
a yeah. I like that as well. Centurion 100. I mean, he may not have. He may not have won the championship. I've already given it away now, but he may not have won the championship. But it's been a record-breaking season for Hamilton.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as was said before, 100 race wins. I don't think anyone's ever going to get close to that ever again in Formula One. I mean, when Schumacher, well, I can't remember how many, was it 81 race wins? I don't. Back then, we thought no one would ever overtake that, and yet Lewis Hamilton has done that and is still going. As I said, we think he's got another 2-3 years, maybe even more than that left in Formula One. So we could be looking at 120 race wins, 130 maybe by the time he retires, which is just on another level completely. It's ridiculous how
Yeah,
good he is and how strong him and Mercedes have been the last, what, it's 8 years now.
I don't want Hamilton to leave F1.
He'll have to
Yeah,
at some point.
at some point, yeah. So 100 race wins and a win in Russia. Verstappen second place for Red Bull. Carlos Sainz another podium.
Yeah, again, Ferrari just showing how much they've come on since last year. And Carlos Sainz, his first year for Ferrari, already what, 3 podiums
3
by the time of,
podiums.
of the Russian Grand Prix. Monaco, Hungary, and Russia. 3 podiums. More
Yeah,
than, I don't think Leclerc got a podium all season. Someone will correct me on that. No, he did get a podium. Silverstone, second place. But
yeah.
yeah, just outstanding from Sainz yet again.
Um, how would you rate the race then after everything that's happened in Sochi?
Mm. Um, I've got in my notes. I've given it an 8 out of 10, but I think I'll take one. I think I'll go 7 out of 10 from
Yeah,
Hard, just
7 out of 10.
because for most of the race there wasn't a lot happening, and then it all kicked off in the last 10 minutes, the last 7 laps. So for the most part, it would have been maybe a 3 or 4, something like that. But because of those last 7 laps, it just turned it. It just turned up the wick, and yeah, 7 out of 10, I think.
Yeah, I agree. 7 out of 10. Um, I wouldn't go any lower than 6 if I had to,
Yeah,
but 7 out of 10, I thought it was sensible. Um, oh, and what also Russia would be moved to St. Petersburg from
that's a good point. Yeah,
2023, I
I
think.
forgot about that. I believe so. Yeah.
So
I can't remember what the track is like or so, but hopefully it
no,
provides more entertainment than Sochi, because
yeah.
Sochi was pretty dull for
Mm.
a racetrack.
So Turkish Grand Prix for round 16. Um, I mean, if you remember Turkey last year in 2020 season, it's where Hamilton got his 7th World Championship. And yeah, but Valtteri Bottas prevailed as the race winner in Turkey in Istanbul. I don't really remember much of Turkey, if I'm
Nor
honest.
do I, to be honest. Besides Red Bull running their special livery, the white and red livery,
Yeah,
which was supposed to be for the Japanese Grand Prix, which is obviously when the Turkish Grand Prix sort of took its place. The Japanese Grand Prix was supposed to be that weekend, but Turkey, as I say, took its place due to COVID. Um, there was a little battle between Perez and Hamilton, where Hamilton almost shoved Perez down the pit lane, but
yeah,
Perez prevailed, and I think unfortunately for him lost the place a lap or two later. But yeah, Valtteri Bottas winning the race, probably his last race win in Formula One. unless he somehow manages to get back into a Mercedes again, a Red Bull, or a Ferrari potentially, maybe a McLaren, which I don't really see happening, to be honest. I mean,
Mhm.
Alfa Romeo aren't going to win a race in Formula
No.
One unless they get some sort of rocket ship in the back of it. I don't think they'll win a race. Yeah, I'm glad Bottas did get a race win this season, because it's fair to say that over his 5 years with Mercedes, this one wasn't his strongest.
No.
2021. I mean, he finished third in the championship, yes, but he was just so up and down. I mean, the Imola, when he was battling with George Russell for P9 in the Mercedes, I mean, he finished outside the points on a couple of other occasions during the season. So for him to get a race win gave him a bit of confidence, and I suppose it was just nice to see someone else on the top step of the podium again. And yeah, we've had Ricardo on there, we've had it's Verstappen or Hamilton for most of the season. Yeah, Perez won in Baku, but Ocon in Hungary. But for the most part of the season, it is just two drivers winning
Yeah.
the race week in, week out. So, but Bottas to win a race, I'm happy for him that he won a race, and 10 race wins for Bottas, and I don't see him getting any more, sadly.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was nice to see that he won at least one last race before moving to
Yeah.
Alfa Romeo for 2022. Um, how would you rate Turkey then, out of 10?
Um, just before I do that, just want to mention Esteban Ocon in
Oh,
Turkey as well. The no-stop strategy, 50 odd laps on intermediate tyres, ridiculous. If it's a wet race, then you don't have to change compounds, whereas if it's a dry race, you have to use two different compounds. So I think he got points as well, Ocon, that race. Can't quite remember where he finished, but I think, yeah, the only driver to do a no-stopper, and the first for quite some time as well, 20 or 30 years.
yeah.
Um, if we saw on Instagram, Twitter at the end that his tires were pretty much just slicks anyway, because all the tread had just completely worn off. Yeah, going back to the race rating, as I say, there wasn't that much action besides the slight battle between Perez and Hamilton. We saw Sebastian Vettel go on to slicks at one point for a lap before coming back in. But I don't remember actually much good racing. I don't remember it being that exciting. So this might be a little bit harsh, but I've given it a 6 out of 10 because it
6?
was decent, but it wasn't as good as other races we've seen this season. I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Um, I'm gonna say 4, 4, 5.
Yeah, I would say that as I did say I was a bit generous. So
Yeah,
yeah,
5. Yeah, 5 out of 10. Uh, not much racing. Bottas on the top step, pretty much his last top step for Mercedes. Um, and a Red Bull podium as well, which is very good for them. Constructors Championship. But yeah, 5 out of 10. Now, United States Grand Prix. Um, qualifying, I honestly thought that Perez was going to start on pole.
do you know, I can't remember now. I think he was close, wasn't he, Perez? I
Yeah,
can't remember who got pole in the end now. I can't remember if it was Verstappen or Hamilton. Was it Verstappen?
I think it was
Got
Verstappen,
pole. Oh, let's have a look. Hang on.
but Sergio Perez put in one hell of a lap. It was brilliant, but it wasn't enough. I mean, it was close enough for pole, but I think one of Hamilton or Verstappen beat him to it.
It was. I've got the times up here. Verstappen pole with a 1:32.9. Then Hamilton second with a 1:33.119. And then Perez 1:33.134. So it's like 0.015 a second, 1500ths of a second away from second place. And again, not that far from from pole either, 0.2 seconds off. So again, I think we both predicted Perez to get pole that weekend as well.
Yeah.
But Yeah, again, another decent race, another sort of strategy battle race, if you like,
Yeah.
where we had Hamilton catching Verstappen towards the end. I think there was about a second in it,
Hmm.
um, with a lap or two to go. And again, fortunately for Red Bull fans, Verstappen prevailed. There was other battles in the midfield on the first lap. I think both McLarens were fighting both Ferraris. You had Alonso fighting, getting pissed off with both Alfa Romeos, Raikkonen overtaking off track, and Giovinazzi doing the same at I can't remember which turn it is, but it's the left hand draft of the long back straight, where a lot of people seem to lock up and, and go wide into it that weekend. But, I think it was a pretty decent race overall, and so I think from memory, it's one of the more exciting races of the US Grand Prix we've seen in recent years, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you on that one. I thought it was a very good race. Um, especially post race, like at the podium.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Oh, I thought the podium was absolutely brilliant. Shaquille O'Neal, uh, former NBA champion. I mean, the guy's right. He's 7 foot tall, and his car. I think he was coming in like some. I don't know. Do you remember
It was like the Longhorn car. It just had these
Longhorn?
massive sort of bull horns, like a moustache on the front. As for the actual car, I don't know, probably the Lincoln Continental, I think. But whatever it was, it had this sort of cowboy-esque style to it. And yeah, when Shaquille O'Neal got onto the podium to hand out the trophies or whatever he was doing, I think he was taller than Hamilton, and Hamilton was on the second on the second place step, and he was nearly as tall as Verstappen. He was on the first place step. Again, just shows how what was it, 7 foot? What was it?
I think
7'2",
it's
something
7'2", 7'1", 7'2".
ridiculous. No one needs to be that tall.
That's well over. That's over two
I'd,
meters. Just over
I'd,
two.
I'd, I'd love to see Shaquille O'Neal and Yuki Tsunoda stand back to back,
Oh,
because the
not
difference would be just, it's probably like a foot and a half difference between the two of them. It would be ridiculous.
how tall is Sonoda? I know going off topic, but
It's probably got to be like 5'7", 5'8",
yeah. Right then.
which to be fair is average, or
Yeah.
probably average in Japan, but that's what a foot, pretty much a foot and a half. It's just ridiculous. As I say, just ridiculous.
Yeah. Right. If we haven't already, rating out of 10?
8 out of 10 for me,
8
USA.
out of 10. Yeah, I thought it was quite good. Quite exciting race. 8 out of 10. Um, I my favorite part was the podium. I thought it was just very funny, just seeing Shaquille O'Neal on the podium. It's just wow. Um, so round 18 takes us to Mexico. At this point, I think you could say at this point, Verstappen is almost, you know, he's comfortable. He's comfortable at the top
Mm.
of the championship,
Yeah.
almost too comfortable. And I think this is the start. This is where you start asking the question, can Hamilton close the gap on Verstappen? I think that's the question you have
Mm.
to ask at this point in Mexico. Um, coming into this weekend, we all thought that Mercedes were gonna win in Mexico.
Well, we thought there would be nowhere near, actually. I think people were saying, oh, it'll be all Red Bull dominance for the weekend, but Mercedes surprised everyone with a 1-2 in qualifying. That didn't work out in the race, with Verstappen winning, essentially winning it at the first corner, starting in third, and then just breezed past Bottas and Hamilton, using the slipstream to his advantage and getting around the outside of turn one. There was a crash between Bottas and I think Ricardo got involved as well. Um, I can't quite remember what it's sort of coming back to me now as I
Hmm.
try and remember it. There was that crash on turn one, but and there was a bit of battle between Perez and Hamilton towards the end, but the middle of the race, evades me slightly. I don't remember much happening, to be honest. But
Yeah.
yeah, everyone thought it was going to be Red Bull dominance, and yet Mercedes pop out a 1-2 in quali.
What a Verstappen to win the race in the manner that he did. It was, I mean, just wow. I mean, two very different drivers, Hamilton and Verstappen. They both have different driving styles. Um, one is aggressive, not afraid to challenge you into next corner. The other is um how am I describing Hamilton? I think Hamilton is the kind of driver who I think he binds his time. He picks his spot, but he calls it at the right moment. If I'm correct.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Um, but yeah, Red Bull podium, double podium, and
Perez podium at his home Grand Prix.
yeah,
But that was where his father was there as well, and it's just great to say. I mean, yeah, Perez didn't win, but a podium. I think he led the Grand Prix at one point as well, so he became the first Mexican to lead the Mexican Grand Prix. And
mm,
yeah, third place to see him there with his father was just beautiful, beautiful scenes. Great to watch.
it was.
We needed something heartwarming for the season after controversy, drama throughout the races
Yeah,
before. So to see that, yeah, just great to see.
yeah, indeed. How would you rate the race in Mexico then, after everything that we've been through?
Um, I'd probably say another 6 out of 10.
Okay.
It was all right, but again, I don't remember much happening in the middle stint of the race, and there probably was something, and I've just I've just missed it. But I mean, Verstappen took the lead pretty easily at the start, and then yeah, we had a little battle at the end between Perez and Hamilton. But again, I don't really remember much from it, but it was better than like Portugal and Monaco, etc. So it doesn't deserve like a 3 out of 10 given for Zandvoort, but it doesn't. It's not as good as Bahrain, Imola, Spain, etc. So
Mm,
six
yeah,
out
I'll,
six out of 10.
I would say 6 out of 10. Um, average race, okay.
Average, yeah,
It was it
yeah.
was
I'd say
okay. It
so.
was okay.
It was okay, yeah.
It was okay. Um, like I said, Verstappen is sitting comfortably at the top of the Drivers' Championship at this point. The main question is, can Hamilton close the gap on Verstappen? That's the main question. Because the last thing you want is for your rival to run away with it. And the next race, oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Right. Before we go into it, this race is probably my favorite race of the entire season, I think. From where I stand, probably my favorite race. Ladies and gentlemen, the last sprint race of the 2021 season, Brazil, Interlagos. Hamilton and Verstappen have come together at all of the sprint races that we've had this season, including Brazil. There have there has been some sort form of coming together with Hamilton and Verstappen, and Brazil wasn't any different.
Well, turn 4, Verstappen should have got a penalty, I suppose, in the race, just for forcing both cars off wide. But in Hamilton got before we get into the actual race, before we get into sprint qualifying, Hamilton got pole on Friday qualifying
Yeah,
in Q3, and then was disqualified because his DRS opened too much or something. 85 mil exceeded that.
yeah.
Um, had to go to the back of the grid. Verstappen was fined €50,000.
Nikita Mazepin is
Hamilton,
starting ahead of Lewis Hamilton.
yeah, exactly, yeah. um, Hamilton then handed 5 place grid penalty for a new engine
Yeah,
um, for sprint qualifying or after sprint qualifying, of which he made up 15 places in the end. He finished fifth in the sprint race, Lewis Hamilton.
that's brilliant.
Um, It's just, I mean, what was it, 20 odd laps, 24 laps, I think it
24
was.
laps, yeah.
15 places, 24 laps. We said this on the Brazil Review podcast, but that's ridiculous. I've said ridiculous quite a lot, I think.
But it is ridiculous, isn't
It
it?
is ridiculous. It's just mad. It just, I mean, the Brazil spicy engine, probably
Yeah.
one of the best engines ever fitted to an F1 car. It was just mad how much quicker he was that whole weekend, and 10th to first in the race as well. It's the second lowest position that Hamilton has won a race
Mm.
from. His lowest being 14th. Just insane how quick
It
Hamilton
is.
Mercedes was over the course of the weekend, and as he carried that on into Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Abu Dhabi as well.
I mean, over the weekend, I think he made up 15 places altogether, or it could be
Well,
more.
I've got here for the questions that he lost out on 24 places. So went from first to 20th, which is a difference of 19 for the disqualification and 5 places with the grid penalty. So he made up, what would it be, 15 plus 9, I
24,
think. 24, yeah.
24.
24. Exactly. Why do we have to? I've just said he lost out 24 places.
But yeah, no, but
This is not our strong suit.
but the weekend, it was just. I mean, I can't wait till we decide um our rewards at the end of this
Mm.
show, because it's just you're hit with penalties. You start at you start last at the back of the grid for the sprint race, so you're probably thinking, okay, I've got a lot of work to do. This is very unusual situation for me, and you know, and then you go up and finish fifth. Now, with the grid penalty in mind, you want to finish well. You don't want to finish lower than sixth, because you'll be starting what, 11th. So I thought it was great, and the race itself, um, yeah, the race itself, another more drama in the race. Hamilton and
Yeah,
Verstappen coming together on lap 48. Um,
Verstappen
it,
should have got a penalty. He should have done. He was so far off the track. He hardly tried to turn in for the corner at turn 4, and to take both drivers off by essentially 2 or 3 cars whipped off the track is a huge amount, and he should have been penalised in my view.
I don't understand race control's decision making this season. It's been one of the biggest talking points throughout the season. Race control and Michael Massey in particular, I think he's the race director. He can't, or the whole team, they can't seem to get their decisions right. And it's something
And
that's annoying, is it not?
as was said already, Bahrain, Hamilton got away with going off at turn 4 29 times. Spa probably shouldn't have been classified as a race. They shouldn't have been awarded points for it. Um, what else? What else have we mentioned? I can't remember now.
Italy,
Um,
Monza,
Italy. Wow,
there was a
I can't remember.
Cops Corner with
Oh yeah, Cops
Silverstone.
Corner. Yeah, yeah, that's another one. There's just been so many, I suppose, controversial decisions by Michael Massey and the FIA, the stewards, that we've just seen throughout the whole of the season. It's not like it's a one-off race where someone got too harsh a penalty, didn't get harsh enough penalty, wasn't penalised, whatever. But for me, Verstappen should have most definitely been penalised,
Mm-hmm.
just because he didn't really intend to. I've watched Jolyon Palmer's analysis on it afterwards, and the on board of just how far Verstappen turned in. And I mean, if you're in that situation, then obviously you don't want to give up the position to your title rival, but you need to race hard and fair. And taking both cars off the track by about 10 meters in the end is not fair.
No,
And Verstappen should have been penalised for it.
yeah. I agree with you. But Hamilton just, I mean, Hamilton, Brazil equals 101, I think. Yeah. Hamilton,
Yep, correct.
Brazil equals 101. 101 race wins for Lewis Hamilton, which I think is brilliant. There's only one Lewis Hamilton, or Sir Lewis Hamilton, I should say. Um, but yeah, it's brilliant from him. His performance absolutely stunning. So how would you
Yeah,
rate the
100.
race?
Brazil, I've given it a 9 out of 10.
Wow,
One of the
that's
best races
big.
of the season.
That's
On
big.
par with on par with Monza for me. I think it's not quite as good as Hungary, but so yeah, certainly one of the best races of the season.
Yeah. Um, 9.5 out of 10. Purely because purely because of Hamilton and how he entered the weekend, being disqualified from qualifying, um, sprint race penalty starting last, and just going from 10th to first. That's huge. So I thought that was great. Um, wow, we're nearly there. So nine
Nearly there.
nine out of 9.5 out of 10 for the Brazilian Grand Prix for me. Round 20 is Qatar. Wow, just 3 races to go. Qatar, new track on the grid.
It was better than expected, I think, or certainly better than I expected because I said on the podcast that it's all fast corners. There's no hard braking zones, no opportunities for overtaking, but we saw a few overtakes. Um, I can't really say much more than that, other than better than expected. I mean, Hamilton dominated as we expected him to do.
Yeah,
Won the race by quite a considerable margin as well. I suppose the star of that race was Fernando Alonso, P3
yeah,
on the podium. Was it
yeah.
105 races between podiums for Alonso?
hmm
The record most from 2021 to 2014. There have been no podiums yet. He got a podium in Qatar.
98
Unreal scenes. And
podiums now.
mm, can
Um,
he get to? Can he get 200? 100?
he could
I
do
hope he does. I
next
hope he does
season. Yeah, he could do.
before he hangs up his boots.
Um, I don't want to speak too much on it, but tire the great degradation. How do you say? I can't get the word out.
Degradation.
Degradation. Um, so yeah, it was ti choice of tires was significant in Qatar. It was either one stop or two stop. Pirelli said it's impossible with a one stop, but I think some drivers were able to get through the race with a one stop.
Some drivers were, yeah, but I can't remember who it was. Bottas definitely got a puncture. I think Norris got a puncture. Both Williams got punctures.
Russell, yep,
So, I mean, Pirelli said that these tyres will not last X amount of laps, whatever it was, 30, 40 laps for the hards or whatever. And the F1 teams were just like, yeah, we'll risk it. We'll risk our drivers getting punches and risk not finishing the race or finishing outside the points. And with Williams, probably weren't going to get points anyway. But yeah, I mean, to go against Pirelli's advice or sort of hard limit, if you like. I mean, Bottas wasn't near his, or was it? I can't. I genuinely can't remember now. But I don't think the Williams were near their limit of like 40 laps. I think they were on like 32, and Alonso was getting a bit itchy towards the end, saying, "Are we going to make it?" sort of
yeah,
thing. And obviously, luckily for him, managed his tyres well and managed to keep P3. So, but yeah, tyre degradation, tyre strategy. F1 teams will learn from that, as was said in the Qatar review podcast. But yeah, not on the calendar next year, but we'll be back in a couple of years' time in 2023.
yeah. Um, looking at the race, uh, I don't know, seven, 7.5,
um,
8 even.
no, I wouldn't give it. I wouldn't give it an 8. I've gone 6 out of 10 actually for Qatar. just because I didn't expect it to be good, but it was all right. I think we had a little battle between Ocon and Perez. Um, Alonso P3, I think, doing a lot of heavy lifting to get it to that 6 out of 10 for me. I think so.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as good as Bahrain, Silverstone, etc. So on par with Turkey, I think, and Mexico for me.
Mm. I would say, yeah, 6 out of 10, 7. Um,
Seven
yeah,
maybe.
yeah, 6 out of 10. I think 6 out of 10 is all right. Um, yeah, it was an okay race. Fernando Alonso, as you said, on the podium, which was brilliant. So, yeah. Um, and Hamilton getting the win in Qatar, almost a glimmer of hope to get number 8. So, yeah, Qatar Grand Prix, round 20, done. Round 21, the penultimate race of the season comes to Saudi Arabia, a country with a lot of controversy. Uh, you know, with the whole human rights thing and whether F1 should be racing in a country that has such a bad record. Eventually, they raced. There was drama in the race, a lot of drama. And if you're the FIA, if you're the FIA, then you've got a lot of fans coming for your head. Excuse me, but yeah, the race was chaotic, misinformed, misdirected. Would you say?
Um, I'd say it was chaotic for definite. Was it lap 10 or well, lap 16 when we had that red flag, the first red flag, and um, the Mercedes pitted. Verstappen didn't pit, so got a free pit stop essentially under the red flag. And
Yeah,
as soon as the race restarted, it pretty much had to be red flagged again because there was a crash involving Perez and Leclerc, and I think Mazepin went into the back of Russell as well. So I had to have another red flag, another restart. Everyone changed tires again. Um, then we had it was Verstappen overtook Hamilton unfairly or went off the track
yeah,
on the first restart, so then had to be penalised in some way. The FIA and Michael Massey basically went to Red Bull like, if you accept Verstappen starting P3 behind Hamilton and Ocon, then we won't then give you a time penalty essentially. And
hmm
the fact that he even offered that rather than directly said that Verstappen will start P3 is wrong. Like, if you're the race director, you need to control the race. You don't need to be offering penalties or whatever to teams, sort of, because the teams will choose strategically. I think David Coulthard actually said that he would have wanted a time penalty rather than start P3,
yeah,
just because he wanted track position, but Red Bull obviously thought otherwise and took up Massey's offer to start P3 and then not get a time penalty later on. But of course, Verstappen did get a time penalty later on for something. We're not quite sure, really, because he tried to give the position back to Hamilton for a later incident, also at turn one, twice. And then Hamilton went into the back of him
yeah.
for seemingly no real reason.
He had a
He said he
lot. There was a lot
brake
of
checked him,
space
but
on the inside of Verstappen. Yeah,
it was just complete chaos. And at that point, I think the FIA just lost control of the race because the decisions they made to penalise Verstappen after he tried to give the position back twice or almost 3 times. I think 3 times. I remember Jonathan, whoever, Max Verstappen's race engineer, came with the radio and said, "We didn't need to do that, Max," when he gave the position back for a third time.
yeah,
It's just like, there's so much confusion surrounding it. And Michael Massey and obviously going into Abu Dhabi, that escalated things tenfold, 100-fold, you could say, given how the season ended.
yeah. And I mean, ultimately, Verstappen let Hamilton pass, or Hamilton. um, at the critical moment, overtook Verstappen for the race win, which set up a season finale for Abu Dhabi because it meant that both drivers, Hamilton and Verstappen, would go into Abu Dhabi level on points, same number of points, 369.5, and it would be a winner takes all. How would you rate Saudi Arabia then, considering everything?
I can't. Yeah, I can't remember what I gave it on the podcast a few weeks ago, but whatever I gave then, it might be the same as it is now. But I'm giving it a 5 out of 10, just because it was chaotic. I suppose it was entertaining in a way, but it just not the right sort of entertaining. We wanted it to be entertaining on the track, good hard racing, and we got a bit of that with Kimi Raikkonen, Sebastian Vettel, Ricardo, and Bottas. I think Tsunoda did all right as well, Gasly. But for the decisions and the FIA's lack of control over the race, I have to mark it down. I have to give it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah. Do you think the FIA and Michael Massey will be looking back on Saudi Arabia, how they controlled the race, and try and be better for next year, 2022?
I don't know. I think the FIA will stand by the decisions they made, because if they did, then if they do say, oh, we made mistakes, then fans are going to come after them even more, say, oh, you made a mistake here, you made a mistake here and here, and it will just spiral out of control. So the FIA have to back the decisions they made, otherwise the whole of F1 and the FIA will just descend into even more chaos.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. The final race of the season. History was made. Hamilton, Verstappen, only one winner can take it. Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I thought it was great. The week, like the preparation for the weekend, with like you are able to like watch the race, listen to it on the radio, and lots of stars and celebrities coming in to watch the race because it was significant. You're either gonna have you're either gonna have a first Dutch driver world champion or a record-breaking 8-time world champion. And yeah, I thought the preparation for it, like the lead up was really good.
Yeah, I mean, Verstappen pole in qualifying. I mean, final race of the season, it's exactly where you want to be. I mean, Norris P3 as well came out of absolutely nowhere. I think Norris said that any other race of the season, he'd be happy to take P3, but for the final race of the season, where the championship is on a knife's edge, he didn't want to be P3. He wanted to stay out of it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Going into the weekend, hats off to Sky Sports allowing it to be shown free to air on Channel 4 here in the UK. When I got to watch, my dad got to watch. We haven't watched a live Grand Prix since, the British Grand Prix for the last few years, ever since, again, Sky took more of the broadcast rights. But going into the actual race itself, as you say, I think Chris Gale was there, who is a West Indian cricket legend, was there.
Yeah.
No idea what he's doing at an F1 race. Usain Bolt was there. And, I mean, it was a good job they agreed to be interviewed rather than Megan Thee Stallion in the US, which was just one of the most hilarious moments of the season, I think. Nothing to do with racing. It was just a celebrity walking down the grid and Martin Brundle just sticking a microphone under her face. But the race in Abu Dhabi, I suppose overall, I don't think it was that exciting. Besides the first lap, which we'll get onto what happened later on in just a moment, but the vast majority of the race was very typical Abu Dhabi, quite boring, not many real opportunities for overtaking. Best moment for me was Hamilton versus Perez, that 2-lap battle there.
That was very good.
Perez allowed Verstappen to make up 5 seconds on one lap. just by slowing him down, by dive bombing him a couple times into turn 6 into turn 9. Just incredible driving from Perez. And you think if Bottas would have been able to do that a few more times in the season, then potentially Hamilton would have won the championship fair and square.
Yeah.
But it wasn't to be. And yeah, as I say, we'll get on to the ending in just a second.
So for the race itself, it's all plain sailing, really, until turn 6 of the first lap, where Verstappen and Hamilton almost came together. I don't think they really touched, but
No, they didn't. No, they didn't touch.
they didn't touch, but it did force Hamilton to go wide, you know, off into the runoff area and back on track again. But yeah, other than that, it was there wasn't really much to it. What are your
Yeah, it was all,
thoughts?
as you say, plain sailing for Hamilton for the vast majority of the race. And yeah, we had a VSC when I can't quite remember what happened now. Actually, I think it was when Kimi had to retire and Russell on the same lap or within a couple of laps of each other. So had a VSC. Max pitted onto fresh set of hards. Tried to reel Hamilton in. We was gaining on him, but not gaining by enough. Hamilton had opportunities to pit during the race under VSC, and then obviously the safety car later on, but chose not to pit. Two
He should have
opportunities
pitted.
for Hamilton to pit, and
Should have pitted.
did that cost him the championship? Did it cost him a race win potentially? You think so? I think Henry said last week that it cost him the championship as well.
I think it did. If you have two good opportunities to pit for a change of tires, because to go 20, 25 tires on hards, it's a long time. It's a long
It was
time.
more. It was getting cut. It was over 40 laps, I think, in the end that Hamilton ran the hard times. He pitted ran about lap 15, 16, a lap after Hamilton. Verstappen, sorry. And obviously continued till the end, lap 58. So 43 laps. In the end, he was on hard
Wow,
tires.
that's a lot, yeah.
Out of a maximum of 50 laps, I think Pirelli said they could do. So, again, as we said last week or the week before, whenever it was, that it was just no contest at the end, given what happened. Verstappen getting a second free pit stop under safety car to change the softs.
And yeah, I think because of not pitting, that ultimately, Hamilton's chances of an 8th world championship slipped from his fingers. But the closing stages of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix it wasn't controlled properly. No real direction.
Yeah, I agree with that. It wasn't controlled properly at all. Yeah, obviously the right decision to bring out the safety car. That's one thing Massey got right.
Mm-hmm.
Then he waited quite a long time to let the lap cars through, because we got to literally 2 laps before the end of the race with Massey saying no, they won't be allowed to overtake the safety car and join on the lead lap. And then it was with 1 lap to go and a few corners to go before the final lap where Massey was like, let's let the only 5 cars between first and second, between Hamilton and Verstappen, they can unlap themselves. The other 3 cars can't unlap themselves. So Sonoda, Ricardo, and one of the other drivers, I can't quite remember now who it was. I think Ocon was allowed to unlap. I can't remember. The 3 cars that weren't allowed to unlap were behind Verstappen, but in front of Sainz, who was in 3rd. So it's unfair on Sainz that those 3 cars, because Sainz could have had a stab at 2nd place, and then Sonoda could have had a stab at Sainz as well. But they couldn't, because the 3 lap cars were in the way between them and Verstappen. Whereas the 5 lap cars between 1st and 2nd were allowed to rejoin the lead lap, which is a remarkable decision with literally 2 minutes to go in the season. It was the wrong call for me. A lot of people will say that will have their own opinions, but it was wrong from Michael Massey to
It was.
let that situation happen. I mean, we said last week that I think the best outcome would have been red flag the race, then we have a 5-6 lap sprint on soft tyres, everyone on softs, have a standing start, Hamilton first, Verstappen second, then obviously carry on down the lap, no lap cars between them. They line up on the grid in whichever position they're in,
Yeah.
and then go from there. I think that would have been a lot fairer. Whether
Yeah.
it would have been right in the rules, but it would have been more right than what actually happened. And when Mercedes launched the protest, both got denied, and I don't think they're going to appeal to the Court of Arbitration of Sport either. But they just say that they assist the FIA in making or insisting the inquiry or whatever the FIA are doing now. But it was managed so terribly. It was just the wrong way for such an incredible season to end. But I'm glad Verstappen won because, from a personal point of view, I wanted a change of winner. I've got a bit tired of Hamilton dominance. The last was 7-8 years, but I feel sorry for Hamilton because I was going to say he deserved it, but I think both drivers deserved it over the course of the whole season.
Yeah.
I mean, level on points going into the last race. I mean, you can't get much more equally deserving than that. But the way it finished was just wrong, and I think I'll leave it there, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you on that one. But throughout the season, both drivers were great, giving us great racing. They've had some coming togethers. A lot. Yeah, they've had some coming togethers, but ultimately, what we want to see in Formula One is great racing, safe racing, something to take us off the edge of our seats. And we don't want, you know, races to be won by, you know, one lap of a race, or for a race to be uh, you know, won on half points because of rain, if you get what I mean. So
Mm.
yeah, it's been a it's been a it's been a good season to watch. This one.
It's been one of the all-time great seasons in Formula
Yeah,
One, and it's just the ending that leaves a sour taste. Because
yeah,
if it was one on the track, no interference from race control, then we could say, yeah, Max deserved it, Hamilton deserved it, and it's all well and dandy. But because of the way it ended, because of the decisions Michael Massey, the steward of the FIA, made, that there will be controversy surrounding this season forevermore,
mm,
and no amount of changing of decisions can undo that. Because, as I've said, if you look back on this season with the stewarding, some might say errors in Bahrain, at Silverstone, at Monza, at Spa, at um, wherever else, I can't remember. There were a couple more in there that were talked about in this episode in part one of this season review. Decisions that the FIA either got right or wrong, depending on your view, but are controversial. Saudi Arabia, another one. And yeah, this season, yes, it will go down as one of the all-time great seasons in Formula One. History, as you say, was made at Abu Dhabi, the first Dutch Formula One world champion, the first non-Mercedes winner of the turbo hybrid era, the first non-Mercedes winner since Sebastian Vettel in 2013,
yeah,
etc. It goes on and on. And if it was the other way around, if Hamilton had won, the first ever 8-time champion of the world, probably cemented himself as the greatest F1 driver of all times. It's at least statistically. I mean, people can debate on in terms of skill set. Was it Hamilton, Schumacher, Jim Clark, Jackie Stewart, Ayrton Senna, Prost, etc., etc.? But it was just the wrong way to end such an incredible season
yeah.
of Formula One racing, and I just don't know what else to say. I don't know if I've got anything more to add to it, really.
Yeah,
But
I agree with you. A great uh, yeah, just a sour ending to a brilliant season. So, excuse me. So, for the final time, for the final time, how would you rate Abu Dhabi? This is on track. This is everything that has
Yeah,
happened.
I'm going to have to go the same. Saudi Arabia, a 5 out of 10, because for the vast majority of the race, not a lot was happening, and then when all the action did happen, right at the end, it played out just wrongly. It was just all wrong in every measure of it. Just the FIA, Michael Massey. I mean, Hamilton said it was manipulated, and I don't think he's far wrong with that.
Yeah. Um, 5 out of 10, I think, or even 4 out of 10. Yeah, five out of 10. I think the race was the race was okay, nothing too special. Excuse me, but I think it was it was towards the end of the season with race control that really, you know, like dampened the race. So yeah, just 5 out of 10 for Abu Dhabi. We got a new world champion in Max Verstappen, first ever Dutch champion. It's brilliant.
Yeah, as I said, a season dwindle seasons. I mean, we'll look back in a few years' time and say 2021, brilliant season, great season, one of the
Yeah.
best ever. Certainly one of the most exciting I've ever known in Formula One, along with perhaps 2009 Braun GP and Jenson Button.
hmm
But you could argue 2016 as well, with Rosberg snuck the championship. But there haven't been too many seasons in my memory. 08 as well, another one, 07. There haven't been too many seasons in my lifetime which have been this close
Yeah.
and this exciting, where the championship has gone down right to the last race. And there's just been so many entertaining races. I mean, think about all the sevens and eights that we've given all these races.
Yeah.
There haven't been many that have been below that, besides the really dull ones like Monaco,
Portugal.
Portugal, Zandvoort, etc. And the only reason we've given these last sort of two races, Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi, low scores or harsh scores, are because of the decisions made off track by Michael Massey and the FIA. So
Yeah.
I think on track action has been up there in terms of the most exciting races that we've seen for quite a while, I think.
Yeah, indeed. It's been a great season, fantastic season, one that we'll remember for a very long time. And what better way to almost finish the episode with awards? Um, yeah, so I have some awards here that I have, listed, and we're gonna give out some awards to drivers on the season. Um, the first being driver of the season. Who's your driver? Who's your driver of the season? Um, yeah, I haven't got mine listed, but I think I'll just make mine along the way. I've got three nominees in my head. So nominees for driver of the season are Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari, Max Verstappen of Red Bull, Lewis Hamilton of Mercedes. My driver of the season is Max Verstappen of Mercedes. Sorry, Max Verstappen
The
of.
Mercedes.
Sorry,
I don't think
very
that's ever
sorry.
going to happen.
Ma-
Verstappen to Mercedes.
Max Verstappen of Red Bull is my driver of the season. I think because of two things. I think he just came into the season to just put on a show for us, really. He's a great driver. I think he's been in Formula One for, well, quite a long time now. What, 6 years? 2016?
17. Yes, yeah, 16.
2016.
Or was it 15? 15, I think he came in.
Toro, oh yeah,
Formula
Toro
One,
Rosso.
the year of Toro Rosso. Then changed to Red Bull
Yeah,
in Spain 2016.
2015. So quite a long time. I think he's developed quite a lot as a driver. Um, yes, his driving style might be questioned over the course of the season. Um, but I think if anybody was to challenge Lewis Hamilton for a drivers' championship, it'd be Max Verstappen. So I think he's my driver of the season. He, 9 wins, 9 wins, 18 podiums, including a top 2 finish in pretty much every race that he's raced in. Never finished third. I think for his career, I think he's got 19 wins off the top of my head. I'm not sure, but
I can't remember.
yeah, but yeah, Max Verstappen of Red Bull, your new drivers champion, first Dutch champion, driver of the season. Go on, Wes.
Yeah, my driver of the season, similar nominees: Carlos Sainz,
Yeah.
Max Verstappen, Lando Norris.
Ooh,
Not Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton's not. He didn't make the shortlist.
Didn't make
Wow.
the shortlist. just outside.
Wow.
But my driver of the season goes to Ferrari's Carlos Sainz.
Wow.
First year in red, and he has just blown it all away. Beat Charles Leclerc, beat Lando Norris, finished 5th in the championship. What more could he have done this year? Really, he was brought in, I suppose, as a number 2 driver to Leclerc, but he's outscored him in his first year at a new team. And if you compare that to Daniel Ricciardo in his first year at a new team, finished on about 110 points, I think it was 110, 115, something like that. Quite a few behind Lando Norris.
Yeah.
Whereas Sainz has got to Charles Leclerc and then some. What was it? 4 podiums this year, including Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
An exceptional return in, as I say, his first year at a brand new team.
Yeah. So driver of the season. There's been a lot of good, very impressive drivers this season. And yeah. Right. Driver of the season, race of the season. What's been the race of the season? One that has really stood out, one that has been significant, almost your favorite. Do you want to go first?
Do you want me to go first? Yeah, I'll go first this time. And nominees: the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. I'll have to look through my other 90 in a second. The Sao Paulo Grand Prix at Interlagos, and the Hungarian Grand Prix at the Hungaroring. And being the only 10 out of 10 I gave throughout the whole season in the race ratings, my race of the season goes to Hungary. We're just being completely chaotic, and Esteban Ocon winning the race. It's just one of the most insane races we've seen for a while, and
yeah,
it just had everything. I think Hungary, with a driver winning his first Grand Prix, there was action on track. Hamilton versus Alonso, crash at the start, wet start to dry finish. Yeah, brilliant race, I think.
Brilliant. Right, my race of the season. We've had 22 races we've had this season, but only 3 make the list. So my nominees are, for race of the season, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku, the Hungarian Grand Prix in Budapest, and the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, Brazil. My race of the season is, and I said it was my favorite, despite not being the highest rated race, I believe, that I said throughout this episode, but my race of the season is the Brazilian Grand Prix in Sao Paulo. I I just thought I just thought the build up to the race because of Hamilton getting his 101st Formula One win, but it's just in the manner of how he did it, being qualified, being disqualified from qualifying, and having to start the sprint race last behind Nikita Mazepin, um, and to make up what 15 places in the space of 24 laps. It's insane. It's brilliant. Meaning he only had to start fifth on the grid because of a grid penalty, and sorry, 5 place grid penalty, and he then had to start 10th. Which I thought, yeah, it was brilliant. Like the way he did it, you wouldn't have thought, oh, he's gonna win the race, but he just pulled it out of the bag and from 10th to first. And yeah, the Brazilian Grand Prix is my race of the season. Um, right, next one is a made up one. So, oh gosh, I don't know how I came up with these. So, rookie of the season. I'm not sure about this one. This can only be applied to newcomers of F1. So, well, I don't really have nominees for this.
There's only really three nominees, isn't there?
Yeah,
Mazepin,
there's three
Schumacher, or
nominees for this one.
Sonoda.
Mazepin, Schumacher, and Sonoda. Uh, do you want to go first? Who's your rookie of the season?
I think there can really only be one winner, and that's Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah,
He's the only one of the three to score any points, and you can't really judge how well the Haas has performed this year because they were so far off the pace compared to anyone. And I mean, the only other one it could have been is Schumacher because he outqualified Mazepin in I'm pretty sure every race. I mean, there might have been one where Mazepin outqualified Schumacher, but Tsunoda points in his first race and then a little bit of a dry spell, I suppose, but performed pretty solidly at the back end of the season. So for me, there was only one winner, Yuki Tsunoda.
yeah, same here. Points in Bahrain, points in Abu Dhabi. I think they're the only 2 points that he's got. Unless correct me if I'm
He
wrong.
got more. He got points in Saudi Arabia and a few more races. I can't remember how many points he got in the end, but
well, that's that for rookie of the season in Yuki Tsunoda. Right, the next one I have is most improved driver. This can be applied to pretty much anybody, including drivers who have changed teams over the winter break. Um, I think I have a well, not a lot, but I have a few. So the nominees for most improved driver are Sergio Perez, Carlos Sainz, Sebastian Vettel, Esteban Ocon. I think that's four names.
four names, yeah.
Four names, yeah. Yeah. Sergio Perez, Esteban Ocon, Carlos Sainz, Sebastian Vettel. All of them have great cases, to be honest, and I don't want to spend too long on going on like each and every one of them. But yeah, they all have great cases. But if I was to choose one, I think Esteban Ocon. Yeah, I think Esteban Ocon has been the actually. Oh, I don't want to do this live on air, but um, actually, yeah, you know, I will do it live on air. Scrap that. So Esteban Ocon's not my most improved. despite his win in Hungary. But I think the most improved driver of 2021 is Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. Um, I mean, 3 podiums this season, outperforming your teammate in the Ferrari in your first season with a new team. Um, he's been absolutely brilliant. I mean there isn't a race where I haven't listened on the radio that I think Carlos has been poor. He's finished in quite decent positions and he's got podiums to show for it. And I only think he's going to get better and better. All he needs is a race win to his name, and yeah, that's that. Carlos Sainz, my most improved driver of the season.
And similar names for my nominees. Carlos Sainz is one, Esteban Ocon is another. My third one goes to George Russell, my third nominee, for helping to score Williams' first points for quite a while, really. But my most improved driver does go to Esteban Ocon. So you won't give a bit, but I will. Maiden race win in Hungary, started on pole for the race restart in Saudi Arabia. Points. He didn't have a great season until France, and then sort of came into his own. I think finished P11 in the championship, 74 points, which it's not a great number of points if you compare that to certainly some of the other drivers. The grid. I mean, Sainz finished fifth on 164 and a half. But I just think Esteban Ocon, to come up against Fernando Alonso and to get close to him in the only 7 points behind Alonso is a really good effort. And if I didn't go Ocon, then it would have been Sainz for sure. But I think Ocon just edges out Sainz in this case.
Yeah. So that was most improved driver of the season. I think honorable mentions that I haven't mentioned: Lando Norris, George Russell, Mr. Saturday, brilliant. He's had a pretty good season. Sebastian Vettel, I thought he's had a good season as well. Getting Aston Martin into the top 10 a few times, a podium. So he's been very good. Right. My next award, Best Team Radio. This can come from this can be like an in-race radio, so I don't know, a change of tires, team instructions in a race. Yeah. Best team radio. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first on this one. I had a few in mind, most of which, to be honest, came from Toto Wolff in the final race at Abu Dhabi. But I give him my best team really to something that happened at the start of the season, just a second race in Imola, and it's Haas's race engineer, or Michael Schumacher's race engineer. It's Gary Pannons or something like that.
Okay.
When Schumacher was warming up his tires under the safety car, spun, hit the pit wall, and the engineer basically reassured Schumacher, saying, "We're still okay. We haven't lost anything. Just a couple of track positions, so everything's going to be okay. We're going to put the car back together." And I just thought, for a young driver in only his second F1 race, to hear that must be so reassuring that I know you haven't mucked up. Yeah, it's not ideal, but it'll all be okay.
Yeah.
In the end,
mean,
I think.
you want
that just get
Yeah. You want to have I think it's important to have a good race engineer driver relationship, because you want that reassurance, you want that help, you want that advice. So yeah, I thought that's a nice one. Best team radio. Right. I think Toto Wolff is up there. Toto,
definitely
oh
up there.
gosh, Toto Wolff he's an amazing team boss. So I mean, he brings so much life to Formula One in the Mercedes garage. Um, I can't remember which Grand Prix it was, but oh, the fact that I can't remember it even makes it bad. Um, Toto Wolff in a Mercedes was exchanging emails with Michael
Silverstone.
Mas.
Silverstone after, yeah, the
Do you know the one I'm
corner
talking
incident.
about?
Yeah,
The
I know. Yeah, I know what
the
you're
one
on
with the
about.
emails?
Yeah, yeah. Toto said basically to Michael Massey that he sent him an email
Hmm.
regarding the incident at Corner where Hamilton and Verstappen came together, and then Massey just responded something along the lines of, "Toto, I don't check my emails during the race." Which is, I mean, fair enough, understandable.
Yeah,
You got more things on your mind as a race director than to check and reply to email. So
yeah. So I thought that was the best radio team radio of the season. Others, I think others were again Toto Wolff. I don't know which country it was. I think it must have been uh I think it must have been Saudi Arabia or Qatar where he um you know takes off his headphones and smashes it on the floor and points his finger
Saudi Arabia, yeah.
like that. And then yeah, I thought that was quite a funny one, or best one rather. Right. The next one, which is one that I've only got four here, but if you've got others, then please. Funniest moment of the season. To be honest, I
You
didn't
want to go
really
first?
I didn't really look for funniest moments.
No,
No,
I've got
no.
one. I've
Do
got
you
a funniest moment of the
go
season.
on, go on.
Toto Wolff destroying his headphones at Jeddah. Where Hamilton went into the back of Verstappen, and then Toto Wolff just ripped off his headphones and smacked them against the against the table. I suppose
That is
even
funny.
after even after that one, where Mercedes on social media just tagged Bose and just went sorry, or something like or oops or whatever it was, and it's just this slow mo video of Toto Wolff just going on the table. Just brilliant. But yeah, I think the one where he just points at the camera was Brazil, I think, where Hamilton overtook Verstappen.
Mm.
And even that, just Toto Wolff in the garage this season has just been I've got to use it again, ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, he has. He has. Um, I think you have other awards that you've come up with.
Yeah, got a couple more. So just two more there. The best moment of the season and the worst moment of the season.
Well,
Do you want me to
I've
go
got.
first again?
Yeah, go on.
All right. We'll start off with worst moment of the season. So we end on a high with the best one. Worst moment for me goes to Michael Massey for his safety car restart at Abu Dhabi. It just made a complete mockery of F1 and the rules. And as I've said many times over the last few weeks, that it was, in my eyes anyway, it was wrong to do that. He just changed his mind at the last minute when there were other options available that would have led to a fairer outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Worst moment of the season was oh, I don't know. I've got a few. I've got a couple.
What you got in mind?
I've got a couple. Charles Leclerc's crash at Monaco on his pole.
Oh, that was heartbreaking. Yeah.
That was kind of heartbreaking. That's one. And then the other one is Michael Massey and race control with Abu Dhabi. But I think the worst moment is Michael Massey's poor decision making in Abu Dhabi in Abu Dhabi. I thought that was very, very bad moment. Yeah. So, final award of
Best
the
moment.
of the episode?
Best moment of the season.
I've got a few in my
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
Hamilton, Lewis Hamilton claiming he's claimed quite a few significant wins. I think Hamilton claiming his 100th F1 win in Russia. That's one moment. Another one is Hamilton's brilliant drive in Brazil. That's another one. And then the last one is Max Verstappen just being crowned champion of the world in Formula One. Like first Dutch driver champion. So yeah, I think the best moment is I'm gonna say Max Verstappen being champion. I thought that was the best moment. Not necessarily like how it happened, but just just him being confirmed
Mm.
champion. I thought that was the best moment. So go on then. Final
Yeah.
award.
I've got a few sort of nominees as well.
Okay.
McLaren's 1-2 at
Oh
Monza
yes.
would be one. Lewis Hamilton at Brazil. That just the whole weekend really, or the whole race.
Hmm.
Making up 24 places over the course of the weekend. Perez versus Hamilton at Abu Dhabi. I think another brilliant moment from the season. But my winner goes to Esteban Ocon winning the Hungarian Grand Prix. Just again, we've said it time and time again. Such a chaotic race, and for Ocon, Alpine, a midfield team, to get a race win, I doff my cap to Esteban Ocon and Alpine. Brilliant, brilliant moment.
Indeed. Great moment. Well, we've almost we're almost there. We've handed out awards, we've reviewed the
Almost.
season. But just lastly, before we finish off, last thing, what do we want to see from 2022 next year? 2021, we've had race wins, we've had drama, we've had a lot of controversy with race control and the FIA. Next season is gonna be a new season, new regulations coming in, um, a new drivers lineup coming in as well. What do you want to see from next year? What needs to change, or if anything, does anything need to change? That's the question.
I've got a few things. One thing is that I want the 2022 season to be as exciting and entertaining as this season, to be as dramatic as, yeah, as I say, exciting. If we get another season where Hamilton and Verstappen go into Abu Dhabi level on points again, amazing, brilliant. It won't happen, but I just hope it does.
Mhm.
Another thing is I want Lando Norris to win a race to get his first win in Formula One. Fingers crossed he does that. I want more 1-2s from McLaren as well, purely from the perspective of a McLaren fan. I did have another thing in mind as well, but I can't remember. Oh yeah, I want the racing to be just as exciting. Or have I've mentioned that already? But I'm just looking forward to going back to tracks that haven't been on the calendar for a while. So
Oh
Australia,
yeah,
Japan, Canada, those
Canada.
tracks. I mean, there's probably a couple of others that I missed as well, but just to go to Suzuka again would be brilliant. Canada, I do like Canada as a track, and Australia is okay. I mean, hopefully, again, they've made changes to it similar to Abu Dhabi to try and make it better for overtaking, better for racing. So hopefully, we see again more overtaking, better racing, and just as an exciting season as this year.
Yeah. I think for 2022, what I want to see is just I actually want to see more um eye openers. By eye openers, I mean I want to see more like more drivers from the midfield try and like you know, wow, wow F1 fans, drivers that you wouldn't see in drivers that you wouldn't see on the podium, you'd see on the podium. Okay, okay, let's be real. You're not going to see a Aston Martin, well, on a podium
He could do.
anytime soon.
Saw
Yeah,
Sebastian Vettel this year.
yeah, true. That is very true. Um, yeah. Okay. Another thing that I'm looking forward to next season is the new faces of in Formula One. Um, by new I mean like Guanyu Zhao in the Alfa Romeo. Um, Looking forward to seeing him, how he fares in F1. Um, I'm looking forward to seeing Alex Albon back in Formula One after
Mm,
a few seasons away. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But ultimately, or yeah, yeah, ultimately, I want to see um more consistency from race control.
yeah,
I think
definitely, 100%.
with the decision that they make, and also like if you're gonna have rules in the sport that you make them and you keep to those rules, not changing them, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, definitely, 100% agree with that.
Um, yeah, do you have anything else to add? Or who?
Um, Nothing more to add in terms of next year, but yeah, we won't be on air for. Well, I say on air, we won't be recording for quite a while, at least until testing.
Yeah,
And if well, we'll chat about as we started this year off. I mean, it seems an age, ages ago now with deliveries of the cars. Have a chat about those, and then fingers crossed we'll be back for another full season, exciting season of Formula One, come around February or March next year.
yeah. I mean, I really hope viewers, I hope you've enjoyed the I hope you've enjoyed the season. It's been great to watch. But also I hope you've enjoyed the episodes that we've been making with the reviews and previews. I hope you've enjoyed it. And yeah, there's more to come. And yeah, just keep you excited and yeah, a second series 2 on the way. Yeah. So this has been the AfterBurners podcast. I've been your host Samuel Oni, and on the behalf of myself and Wes, we want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year into 2022. And yeah, we're just ready to get back to racing soon next year in March. It's goodbye from me. Bye bye. Goodbye from Wes.
Bye bye.
A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.